Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Cool.
The sequel to the award-winning Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, Senua returns in a brutal journey of survival through the myth and torment of Viking Iceland, intent on saving those who have fallen victim to the horrors of tyranny. Senua faces a battle of overcoming the darkness within and without. Sink deep into the next chapter of Senua's story, a crafted experience told through cinematic immersion, beautifully realised visuals, and encapsulating sound. That is Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, the second entry from Ninja Theory? Is that what we're calling them these days?
Yeah.
Since they...
No.
DMC?
Heavenly Sword.
No, I didn't play. The first game I played from them was Hellblade 1, or OG Hellblade, whatever you want to refer to it. Yeah, I didn't get involved in anything else they played. They did do DMC, didn't they?
Was that this? Oh, they might have done the
reboot type.
Reboot, yeah. Only got one game. It was really good, actually. I quite liked it. And they just went, nah, scrap that. Go back to the original one.
Yeah.
But it was quite cool, actually.
Yeah, I was like, no, I missed that, and I missed Heavenly Sword, and then when Hellblade came out, I got it much later.
I was late to the PS3, and then I think that the only reason I bought that is because what's his name? Andy Serkis was in it. He's the baddie.
What, he's in Heavenly Sword?
Yeah.
I was watching a film with Andy Serkis in it. I think it was originally called Golden Boy. But I think it's now, if you look it up, it's Shiner. I think Michael Caine's in it.
Oh, really?
Basic story is that Caine's son's a boxer. I don't know what this has got to do with Hellblade 2, mind you. Anyway, Caine's son is a boxer. He has a fight. I think he loses, and then he's like assassinated after the fight. Because I don't know if it didn't go the way that they were planning, if it was meant to be a crooked fight. I can't remember the details. Anyway, Andy Serkis is in it as like a heavy, like a bouncer.
Oh, is he? Really?
I think the guy in Lockstock called, I think his name's Dog, he's in it as well.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why I mention it is because Andy Serkis cock and ball out in that.
Really? Cool.
Full frontal.
Full front dick and balls out.
So people that want to watch, a bit of a spoiler.
He's a director as well. I wonder if he directed that.
He may well. Would you direct yourself to get your cock and ball out? Say cock and ball. I think he had two testicles. So cock and balls is the
cock and balls.
The correct term.
Is he packing?
Can't remember now. I just remember laying there because I didn't know it was Andy Serkis at the time. And I was like,
oh right, cool, sure.
I was like, this is a bit fucking weird because it goes on for quite a while. And I was like, it's just out flapping around, and I was like, well. And it wasn't until years later I realised it was him, and I was like, it wasn't Andy Serkis, was it? It couldn't have been. Like he wouldn't have done that. But yeah, could be bollocks. I might have to look this up halfway through and make sure I'm not talking complete shit. But pretty sure that's what it was called and done. Anyway, so he was in Heavenly Sword, old Serkis.
Oh yeah, he's got Ninja Theory attachments. He's not in Hellblade 2 though, is he?
I don't think so.
Unless he was.
He might well have been. He might have been playing a strange voice, mightn't he?
Yeah.
But so you've played Hellblade 1.
Yep.
You played Heavenly Sword, did you say?
Played and completed that. Back in the OG days.
And the DMC?
And the DMC. What else have they done?
Fuck no. They're the big ones, I think.
Ninja. Yeah. But yeah.
They done that Bleeding Edge, do you remember it? It sort of come out after Microsoft bought them and was just a complete shitter.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Enslaved?
I remember that was on the 360, wasn't it?
Let's have a look here.
I never played that. Yeah, let's have a look.
Kung Fu Chaos, Heavenly Sword, Enslaved, DMC, Devil May Cry, Fight Back, Mobile game, Marvel, Disney Infinity Marvel Superheroes, DMC, Devil May Cry Definitive Edition. So got a little extra one. Disney Infinity 3, Dext, which is I never heard of, and then Hellblade, some other weird VR game, and then
was Bleeding Edge. Was that like a? Oh, it's like a. Was that one of them fucking Fortnite things?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played that. Project Mara, TBA. Interesting. Or isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely happened in that
Yeah.
film, by the way, Shiner. I had to put in Andy Serkis Shiner nude, so that's going to really play havoc with my Google searches.
Your
But
algorithm's going to be cock and balls now.
it's been confirmed, so if people want to watch that and see that unfold, Shiner in 2000, and yeah, Michael Caine, Andy Serkis.
God, 24 years ago.
Frank Harper, is that his name? It is his name.
Is that the...
That's the
fella
dog
with that?
fella, yeah. He's in Lock, Stock.
I haven't seen Lock, Stock for fucking ages.
I haven't
think
either, but I haven't watched a lot of his newer stuff, that old guy.
together.
Richie.
Oh, yeah. What was the last one? Was that the Gentleman? Yeah, that was it.
Well, that Biff just watched that other thing, didn't he? That ungentlemanly, whatever it was.
Oh, yeah. Was that him?
I think so.
Gentleman's last thing I watched.
Yeah.
But enough of Lock, Stock.
Enough of that. Hellblade 2. What did you think of Hellblade 1 then? 'Cause that's the closest analogue. Forget about Bleeding Edge and all that nonsense.
I really liked Hellblade 1, but I did feel it had faults. It wasn't a perfect game. Mainly with agreeance on yourself at dem puzzles.
Oh.
Yeah, them runes. And I tell you what, they've got Hellblade 2. We'll whack them back in again. Although, like that, I was just like, it just got on my fucking knob and bollocks. How infuriating they were in the first one.
They were just awful.
They didn't seem that bad, this one. This one, to be honest, they're probably more dumbed down too much in Hellblade 2. But yeah, overall, I really like the story. The setting, you could tell it was an independent. Well, I suppose they claim they're an independent, but it certainly didn't feel like a AAA game. Right up my alley with hack and slash. You know, the Norse mythology esque.
Icelandic.
Yeah, but yeah, I sort of enjoyed it. It was just the niggles of the sort of technical cutbacks. Like, it didn't feel AAA, and
It looked it though.
Yeah. Yeah. What else was there? I liked that.
That's the thing. There's not a lot of components to it, and I think
that was the biggest thing. The revolutionary.
The audio is
And I remember on another thing it's almost got that vibes of Metal Gear Solid 1 with the cartridge memory card swap. Little things like that you sort of think, fucking hell, that does make a game. So like that, the sort of having the voice in your head which plays into the story brilliantly. And them sort of telling you at the beginning of the game, like, please put headphones on. This is how we intended this game to be played.
Yeah.
And second, which you added to this thing, was the blatant lie.
Oh yeah.
That permadeath. Spoiler if you ever played it.
It's a lie. It's a mechanical.
Exactly.
I'll double check that, but I'm almost certain that ended up being a lie.
Yeah, that added so much anxiety to my playthrough of just going through thinking, like, every time, because it was quite difficult, if I remember, because of the sort of clunkiness of the fucking hack and slash of the actual animations and stuff. I think I do remember dying a lot, and I remember having the anxiety, thinking, for fuck's sake, if I'm this far and I'm going to die. But at the end, well, I think you do find out, and you're like, oh, it was bollocks.
I don't know if it tells you, though. I only found out.
I don't think it does.
I looked it up, and I was like, why? Why do that? I mean, you know, I think about that as a mechanic, and I'm like, I think that's a really bad idea. I'm kind of glad they didn't put it in. I don't like the idea of that.
No, I couldn't.
It's not quite as mad as when, like, Kojima apparently pitched, like, every time you die, you have to buy the game again. Like, it was like a single-use disc. It's basically an arcade machine. But yeah, I remember hearing a story that he'd once thought that might be a good idea, and I was like, no, I'm not going to go down that road. But that was, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've just had a quick search, and it's like, yeah, that was a die.
It was a ruse.
That was a lie.
And I swear I read that was the intention. Like it was supposed to sort of impose stress in your playthrough, which it fucking did.
Yeah, it did.
So well done.
There's
done.
even one point in the game where I don't think you can not die. It's just an endless like stream of enemies.
Right.
And normally you get overwhelmed and you'll die. But because I was so adamant, I didn't want to. I thought I was like near the end of my rope, basically, that I was allowed to die. I was like really fine. I went on for about 15 minutes, and then eventually I died. And then I looked back and I was like, wow, I didn't need to worry about that too much. And it was actually an unwinnable fight. It would never end until I did eventually succumb to something.
Yeah, no, so overall, yeah, I really liked it, and sort of was hoping for a sequel that sort of got the bits that I was looking for, that sort of AAA feel, puzzles that weren't infuriating, and a few little bells and whistles. So we will discuss whether we got them or not. So what was your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was somewhat frustrated that the puzzles were just so, in my opinion, is one of the worst. I'd rather have sat there and played the Witness for 50 hours of those line puzzles, because at least there was a method to it. This some of the nonsense they had you doing in this, walking through like, underneath fucking doorways, and then I was just like, I don't like this these runes. I don't be needing this. It just it broke up too much of the game, and then
they were too frequent.
Yeah. And the combat was okay, like it was serviceable, but I really like the audio.
Reminding me of Rise.
I never played that.
Rise felt better. It felt more polished. This was like a clunky Rise, where it was just like basic hack and slash.
What an accolade! A clunky Rise. Put that on the back of the box. They don't do boxes, do they? Xbox. No. These little games, as they call them. Speaking of little games, it was. I think we'll move into Hellblade 2 now. Like, I think this was severely damaged before it even came out. In the lead up to it for a number of years, because they showed it off 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ago with that big giant scene, where they're throwing the spears and the tar on the giant at the Game Awards, and I think at that point there was a certain level of anticipation that's now they're under Microsoft's banner, they're going to get all these resources, they're going to expand, they're going to become a proper AAA developer, and we're going to get a AAA length game. It's going to be like Hellblade, but maybe 10, 12, 15 hours. Yeah. And the graphical fidelity. This is like there could be a Naughty Dog in the future, because they've got the chops for the graphics, and storytelling is there. And we're just going to have this excellent, like, proper sequel and complex add-on to the original Hellblade. And then before release, they kind of came out and was like, no. It's on Game Pass, whatever. But the key thing for me is it's 50 quid if you want to buy it, which is 30 quid off 20 quid, off the 70 UK pounds. So you're classifying it as a middle rung there. And then they said it's about the same run length the first one, which wasn't overly long. That was like 8-ish hours, I think, for me, maybe a bit less for some. Yeah, and then at that point, I think people were like, that's not. I don't know if we unreasonably should have expected more, but it was in development for a long time. I mean, when did the original come out? 2017?
Was it?
So, waiting a good 7 years, and they essentially were downplaying the scope of the game. And at that point, I was a bit like, okay, that wasn't what I was expecting. Same with Avowed in a way. Like, when Avowed was first shown off, I was like, this is a Skyrim, but by Obsidian. And they're like, no, it's the Outer Worlds with a medieval twist and set in the Pillars of Eternity. And I was like, okay, all right, fine. There's a couple of times when I just expected once Microsoft took these studios over, there would be an uplift in scope and quality. And I'm not sure that's certainly, I don't think, bled out into Hellblade 2. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, whether it's... whether you was expecting the same.
I mean, probably the one that I will expect from that is
Fable.
Hang on. Yeah, that feels like. I mean, that's the team that done
Forza Horizon, yeah.
stuff, which is a AAA game in my eyes, baby. But you've always thought, like with the open worldness of that game, like them doing a different, like an RPG or something like that, that could be incredible. But no, I agree with you. Yeah, I don't think that they have really. No, but from anything that we've seen so far, other than Fable's probably the one that looks stand out. Going back to times, I played Hellblade 1 for 7 hours and 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I played, that was a full 100% completion, platinum, or if you will. And I played Hellblade 2 for a mere 9.5 hours.
So a little bit longer. Yeah,
There
was people saying like Hellblade's 5 hours. I think I clocked 8.
Oh, did you? Right, yeah.
And I didn't get everything either. I mean, I didn't. I could go back and probably do it in a couple more hours.
That was the only reason I did. I wouldn't have gone back through it.
But I did like just a normal, like, I was thorough, but not going completely crazy. And it took me 8 hours. And before it came out, the headlines were it's 5 hours, it's a cup of coffee, it's this, it's that. It's a letdown, 58 score from PC Gamer, and you're like, what's Metro Boys? They crap on everything that ain't Nintendo. They gave it a 5 out of 10. I was like, what's happened? What's happened? I mean, it ended up on an 81 overall on OpenCritic, which is no disaster. But it's almost like the well was poisoned before the game got out into the public's hand. There was this negative cloud over it, and I don't think that affected my playthrough. But I imagine there's a lot of people that just skip this because they didn't want to. Now, having played it, was I blown away by it? Spoiler alert: no. There was some. It was strange. They almost fixed like one of my main problems, but they made it boring, not annoying. I don't know what's worse about the puzzles. Whether they're
straight off the bat, what got me fucking annoyed. I'm scared of that button. I'm going to press it. The fucking thing that got me annoyed is though they had it in. I'm fucking like Biden here. Hang on, it's the brain. You see,
get Kamala in. Is it Kamala or Kamala?
I don't know which it is.
Get taken off the air for that.
Resident
have to go on Rumble.
Tango Games. The Evil Within.
All right, yeah.
Evil Within, that was it.
Oh, the letterbox.
Letterbox. Now, I'll tell you what.
It's an artistic choice, Adkins.
I'll tell you what. Fucking Ninja Theory cunts. Your artistic fucking thing is, we're going for fidelity. 13 FPS slop.
60 on my beautiful PC, mate.
Yeah, that is the truth. I should try and run it on this, but I was like, right, that's where you see the reviews, you see the accolades. Possibly the most best-looking console game ever.
Gorgeous in the headlines.
It is gorgeous, I will give that.
Yeah.
But those fucking black bars, I hate them in games.
God, what I was going to say then.
I get those. I fucking hate them. It's. They say it's supposed to invoke claustrophobic.
No, don't give me that shit.
It don't. No.
Just say, look, it would have really tanked the performance.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've cut a quarter of the game off, top and bottom.
The game off.
Yeah.
So that got me right at the cunt, and then I was like, right, well, I know this. It annoys me when I can't play games full whack. So I was like, right, I'm gonna stick. I got Game Pass for it. I think that was just a couple of weeks before. So already, straight off the bat, playing at 30 FPS slop and letterbox, I was like, for fuck's sake. But I've got to say, that opening scene where you're crawling through the fucking mud or whatever, reminded me of Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero. Was it Ground or Zero, whatever it was?
Probably the same length.
Yeah, exactly. Where you sort of start off crawling in the rain through all the rocks, but this I was like, fucking hell, that is
kept you waiting,
quite impressive. But it also had a lot of vibes of Order 1887.
Yeah, it was a comparison point made plenty of times. Like I always maintain that the Order would have, if it was a launch game, like if it came out when Rise came out. Yeah. Like that was no blowaway game, but as a launch title, you're like, oh yeah, this is decent. But once it slipped to like a year later, Everyone was expecting a bit more. And it got shit on for it. And Hellblade, if this was out at launch 4 years ago now, so clearly it was never possible. But if a different timeline, we can do a fucking, what's that, Doctor Strange? Does he fuck about at the time, does he?
Oh, yeah.
We do
in the multiverse.
Yeah, if we do that, you'd say, right, put that out at launch, and it'll be more, I think it'll be widely accepted as a great launch title. But 4 years deep, people are already like, well, expect more out of that. And it was a stunning looking game.
Yeah.
Like, it really is.
Really is, yeah. And
I've got to say something, though.
Right.
There's people, she's got like a long, like, braid, like, hair, like, I don't know if it's braid, whatever you call that style, where it's sort of tight. I don't know, maybe it's something else probably, but
yeah.
You see, anyway, her hair's obviously flapping around with the physics and whatnot, and I saw a few opinions or reviews, and it was like the attention to detail here is insane. I was like, yeah, it is. And I was like, it never clips on her back or on her outfit, and I was like, well, I've played it for a minute and it already has a little bit, so don't lie to me that it never clips, because it does. Look, it's very, very infrequent, but don't tell lies and say it never clips.
100%,
because guess what I was doing all game, looking for it clipping and noting it in my head that it's clipping. So
it's done it again.
It's that poison well, though.
I remember there was a setting on Witcher 3 on the PC for like improved hair physics. It's called like tress effects or something like that. But fuck me, that used to tank the frame rate. The second you put it on, you just see his hair like fucking flapping.
I remember reading about that.
But Aloy's hair was always very good. The way it sort of fucked about, but I'm sure them clippings were there. Oh,
there was clipping galore there.
But I've got to say that probably was its strongest point. This game was its look, its graphical powerhouse.
Yeah, it's really good on that. What did you make of the audio this time around? Because it's sort of like we've had the trick once, and now it's come out again. I don't think it was as strong. I don't know if that's just because
I think the novelty the novelty sort of wore off a bit, and like I say, I felt like it needed back then when we played it. I think I played it a couple of years after you, but like I say, it felt like almost like a gimmick, which. Like a good gimmick, but having that thing. So this time again, it asks you to wear the headphones, which you do. And was just expecting something else. I don't know. There was a couple of times like jump scares and stuff. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. But I don't know for what I was expecting. Such anything really, but it just sort of it did lose its momentum. It didn't have that same sort of wow factor.
I'd still rather have it than not have it.
Like
it's not a net negative, it's a net positive. It's just it wasn't like this groundbreaking experience like the first time was, and I don't know whether they did much differently. Think they did. There was still like the whispers in your ears, and they go round the way the sound's designed. You can hear them going round your head and whatnot, and they're telling you, saying the similar sort of things of like just trying to fuck with you basically. And in certain tense scenes, it does crank up the tension without needing the fear of permadeath. So maybe they learnt the lesson of that fucking rot that they put in the first one and got rid of it. But I think it probably wasn't as strong. And again, it's still very good though. I still think there's a lot to be explored in the audio space, and this is a team that have got a finger on the pulse there.
I do struggle to remember exactly what happened in the first one, but I felt like this one
had a catch-up video, I think.
Yes, it did, to be fair,
but I watched that and I was like, really?
I thought that. And it wasn't your standard sort of, recap of the story. It was like redone in a sort of different telling. I was like, I don't know.
They may have just lied to us with that recap. It might not have been that at all.
That's one of them things. Just go, that was the new thing. We've set a new path, like you say, that multiverse. We've stepped on a new fucking timeline, and this is it. But I felt like this one had a bit more of a sort of horror-y vibe. I remember it did go quite dark in the first game, but this one was dark.
It was definitely. Yeah, I think there probably was a few more like pure horror elements to this compared to the first one, and the first one was still pretty unsettling.
Yeah,
Just because the atmosphere again, I think bled through to this one. That the atmosphere is very,
that is strong,
very strong, and they do use a few more. You know, there's environments that aren't in the dark, for example, like you wander around in daylight, and it's interesting to kind of see that. My memory of the first one, it's probably inaccurate. There's a lot of it's in dark grey sort of areas.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more variety to it. There's plenty of darkness to go with that. In terms of, it's been a little while since we played it. I must say, story wise, I finished it and I was like, that's okay. But thinking back now, I'm like, I really, again, if they go, here's the third one, I go, what happened?
I've got to say, it didn't really push it. I anticipated it being like a carry-on section to a trilogy, which I'm sure they're probably, depending on how well it's done. It's the hardest thing to find out when these are on these platforms. I need sales. They don't tell how many people played it.
Doesn't matter if it seems Xbox will be like, well, you're done. Or
you're done. Well, it sounds like they've got some other projects, so maybe they could be done. But the story, it was quite forgettable. And I felt like it didn't sort of push her story much. It was just sort of like, it was almost like a side quest. This was a side quest, right?
But I like the fact they introduced some other characters that you meet and talk to, because you don't really do that in the first one.
No, it was good, and I quite like that they didn't over subdue you with characters. Like normally you go to like a fucking village or something, and then like 10 new characters. You're like, right, okay, I remember Horizon, that being the one, just like. By the end, I was like, who the fuck's this guy? Oh, right, okay, so he's from that camp or whatever. Whereas this really was like, there was like, was it 4? Was it 4 or 3?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And I quite like that they sort of focused on them. And sort of, you learnt them as a character, and it gave you enough time to sort of build a character development with them, which is quite good. But I've got to say, the facial animations on said characters. There was one that was a bit iffy compared to the rest. I think it was that chap with the slick back hair.
Yeah.
But the other dude, the second guy that you come across, he just looked, I was like, cool, next gen.
Yeah.
But some cool characters, and and it's not a spoiler, is it? Because we see it in the thing, but them giants.
Yeah, that's an interesting wrinkle to it. I think they could have explored that more. Maybe they will in a third one. But those are like the high points.
Yeah,
and
it did have those. I think that I remember saying that what was missing from the first one was that AAA feel and big set pieces, and that's what this one did have. But whether those big set pieces hit every time, not for me.
No.
It was a good couple. Like there's a couple of escape ones remind me, like where you're sort of running through an environment. That I do love that sort of stuff. Like it starts with Uncharted, used to get it in Gears and stuff, Halo, all sorts, Mass Effect. I do love a good escape set piece. But there was a few more. I don't know. I wanted a few more. But that is one of the things I wanted, and I did get it. It's just that overall feeling of boring.
There's something up with I can't put my finger on it, but there was something up with like the pacing of the game. There were like long stretches where I was like, this feels longer than it needs to be, and it was in random like parts of the game, like, and I'd be walking. And I was
Lots
like,
of walking.
Come on,
let's get to the. Did you collect many of those? They had the little like lore pieces where you had to find the totem things.
Yeah, not loads of them, but probably at least half, maybe a bit over half. I was looking for them, but I wasn't like, because sometimes I felt like I'd do something and it would push me through to a new environment.
Yeah, I kept finding that especially towards the beginning part where you're sort of running all through the little ravines and stuff. And I was like, I kept thinking I could see there was like multiple ways you could go. And I was sitting there thinking, right, if I go this way, and then like you go and you step down something and then you can't get back up. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, now I've really lost something. So that was a bit annoying.
That's why I try not to on like a first run get to.
Yeah, it probably is. I think that's the trouble because I read that it was like you could platinum it in one hit. I was like, fuck. So I think in future, I love like, the fact that they let you go back, chapter select, and could go back and get the shit. If I'd have known that, maybe then I wouldn't have done. But
did you have to reload then? Or...
Yeah, there was a couple I missed because I remember getting to the next tree. And I think it had like the little dots.
Yeah, you can see you missed one.
As I looked, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I've just missed one. For fuck's sake. And I was like, my like save point now is already there, so I can't go back. So I ain't fucking doing the old chapter again.
Oh, okay. So you didn't actually reload an old save like whilst you were going through the run. Okay.
No, I did. I waited till the end. Like, I think there weren't too many. I think there was like. I think I got all the lore things. It was them fucking hidden faces. I think I struggled. But
they're quite cool because it's basically like you'll be walking around and in the terrain there'll be like a outline of a face and it's sort of blended into the.
That's the fucking thing.
Whatever it is.
I was just looking for them everywhere and I was like, is that a face? Because rocks are just weird looking anyway. So many times I'd be like, no, it's not.
That looks like Biff. Oh no, it's not a face. It's just a weird looking Biff face. So you were obsessed with rock faces and I was obsessed with her fucking hair clipping. So
yeah, hair clipping. So the pair of us weren't paying much attention to the actual fundamental part of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I quite like they added those side things and like I said, don't know if I didn't get them all, so there's no way of me knowing. But I don't know if after you got them or whether you got a deeper appreciation for the lore.
To be honest, like the story, it was quite fun. It was him telling stories about characters in the world and Norse mythology. But if you ask me now what they were, I wouldn't know a single one of them. In and out, straight away.
Throwaway toss, really. Let's talk about them puzzles then, because we've alluded to them being boring. I don't know what they were thinking. Well, they were thinking don't do what we did in the first one, which I suppose what should have been an easy net positive ends up being neutral. Yeah. But I'm almost back to like, that was so dull and boring that don't do them. If you're gonna, if it's those two options that you've presented us, either just shit ones or boring ones, just think of a different thing to do.
We had the fucking runes again. Like, angling them up. I remember that one. And then was there like the weird bubble ones where you had to like, you could inverse the world or
that's it. You could like interact with these bubbles in the world and they would like open, like inverse the world's a good way of kind of doing it. And they would, like,
I remember there was one that was
rocks and pathways.
Right.
And they were fine, like the first few times, but there was one segment where it just went on and on and on. And I was like, this is not it. Whatever you were thinking this is not it. And especially, and we'll get onto the combat, because I really liked the combat. So when we were sort of in doing that, I was enjoying that. And I was like, oh, got this fucking puzzle bit. Then you got a long walking segment. I suppose you can run.
It always seemed to be like a fucking, get on a brisk fucking pace.
Yeah.
But it always seemed to be that. You'd be trudging through some fucking valley and then you'll step down somewhere and then you think, oh, fuck. You could see the little fucking cairn or whatever it was and the little fucking platform. You're like, here we go. And then all of a sudden, comes in. But I've got to say, overall, they dumbed it down too much that they were very easy. But they were just more of annoyance because you're like, it's piss pot.
It comes down to that pacing, like, because you want to get on with it, and because the game just seems to just drag for whatever reason, probably a multitude of reasons, that you just think, well, I want to get on with this now, and the game's like, no, not yet. You've got to walk very slowly through it. It does a lot of that forced slow walking. Yeah, and you left thumb. I had thumb up R so many times where I'm pressing forward, and I wasn't sure whether. And it's sort of a compliment, but it's not when you're playing it. And I was like, is this a cutscene now? Like when you're crawling through something, I let go and I'd be like, right, she's been doing that for the last 90 seconds. I didn't need to be holding forward. And it doesn't really.
Is the trouble. That is, it's a fault, but at the same time, you sort of like,
it's clever.
Oh, that blends seamlessly.
You wouldn't know. My view is you should just make a little, like, the control should vibrate.
Yeah.
Okay, we've moved out of it.
I'll touch it.
Yeah. But visually you wouldn't know that. And that is, it is very seamless. They go for that. I don't know if they keep to it, but the single shot camera seems to be in play for a lot of the games. A lot of that swinging round, and even when you're transitioning from environments, it will sort of swing up and almost do a time lapse almost, and then
that's right. Yeah, for the chapters it did that, didn't it?
I don't know if it sticks to it 100% like what God of War claimed back in the day.
No,
they did cheat a couple of times in that game, but.
What was that film where I think it was like was it Birdman? Did you ever watch that?
I did watch
Michael
that.
Keaton. I think that was like not one of the first, but one of, might have been the first, but one of them that was just a pure single shot. Yeah, fucking get halfway through and some bloke does something. Oh, you fucking rude. There must be technology now, they can edit that out and just carry on.
Yeah. There's that boiling point. I think that's...
Oh yeah.
That's they do that in that with Stephen Graham.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that was. Yeah, that was good. That was.
I think the way they do it is they do like 3 or 4 goes at it and just pick the best one.
Oh, cool.
Go. It's almost like doing a play, I guess. Like
I suppose you can't fucking edit that together.
No, but
yeah, that combat. Get onto that because I've got to say, visceral is the word I'd associate.
Oh yeah, it's so crunchy and it's quite simple. Really, but I like that it's simple and crunchy, and it feels like you're really sticking the fucking knife in on them.
Callisto, but it didn't have that sway.
Yeah,
that
didn't have the sway.
It was swaying, but the fucking every hack you're like, oh, that's him.
I like the fact that because this wasn't the case in the original that you only ever go in 1-on-1 battles.
Yeah,
like they don't crowd you out of 2v1 or 3v1, which did happen in the original, at least 2, because that becomes annoying because you've got to dodge and focus. Whereas this is like, you're like in a duel with one other person. It's like this is mano v mano, and it's like one of us is going to go down.
They did quite. There was like a couple of scenes where there was multiple enemies, but they've done quite a good job of sort of not having him waiting.
Yeah, they're off screen, aren't they? They don't like blindside you. Like when you finish, just as you're finishing like the first half, it will transition into the next person. You will go through like almost a gauntlet, but they won't be attacking you at the same time and trying to put you to sleep. But yeah, I mean, it is like a few buttons, isn't it? It's like a block and a parry and an attack. But they do a good job of the timing windows and dodging windows and the different types of enemies that you run into that you've got to use all the different toolkits. It's not a massive toolkit, but it's still... I just found the simple pleasure of just finishing these things off as hugely satisfying. And I think that added the frustration of when you're not doing that and you're wandering around looking at bubbles.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I did really enjoy the combat. I'm sure there would be the Elden Ring fans that go.
Yeah, no, this isn't Devil May Cry either. It's not combos
no combos.
It's none of that sort of stuff. It's not what you'd expect in a character action game. It's very stripped down, but it is very effective.
That parry system as well is when you get that sort of little buff as well. That was very handy because there was a few times. Them fucking flame cunts. I
don't think I avoided one of those.
No, I just got set
I never get to grips with them.
I didn't know how to do. You had to the dodge and the roll, and you could lean back. That always looked pretty cool. If you someone strike at you and you lean back and then fucking hack them.
Yeah, all the finishing was nice as well. Like you'd get them down to a certain health, I guess, somewhere in under the hood, and then you'd do like a brutal finisher of the bloke or whoever it was. You don't just slice someone and they go and fall down. It's always like you get in there and they do a nice animation. You're like, yes,
right in the gizzard.
That's it. That's definitely the high point, and that wasn't really the case for the first one. So I think
no. So the combat was meh.
Yeah, of all the things that they perhaps struggled with, this they nailed. And I know some people want more complex combat, but I'm totally fine with this being wheeled out. And it's actually pretty decent checkpointing. Like I mentioned, some of those gauntlets where not that I think gauntlets, but you'd face like 3 or 4 or 5 people on the bounce. I think I died once towards the back end of once, and it kind of checkpointed me halfway through. I didn't have to go through the whole thing again, or if there was like a long transition between the one battle to the next, it wouldn't take you back to the beginning. It would take you back to after that transition, so you didn't have to sit through that again. So they were clever enough to not because sometimes they get out their own arse, these developers. Like, well, you failed, so you got to do the whole lot again. You're like, oh, well,
you're like,
I've done 6 out of the 8 though. And they're like, yeah, do the 6 again. Back you go.
Right. Fuck's sake.
But no, a huge positive on that front.
I got to say, combat. Music as well. That was very, standard sort of soundtrack. But remember the first one did have it. They did a big Xbox's showcase. I remember them doing a big piece with fucking load of fucking people screaming. Yeah. But I got to say, it just added to it. And it was almost always, well, aside from the bits where you're fucking drumming down, listening to the voices in her head, but there was always like a sort of hum into it, and then it sort of builds up. You can hear it slowly building up. Boom, 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 boom. And then obviously when the shit hits the fan, it's full whack. So, no, it done a very good job on the audio side, and just a shame. I don't know what else really expected, but like you say, it just lost its edge on the voice. It didn't sort of really. It weren't too much focus on the sort of schizophrenia too much.
No, it wasn't really. It was. And I've seen people say, "Well, I don't know. Like the reason why it's like that is because she's dealing with it better, and it's all this subtle suggestion." And I'm like, I didn't. Sorry, I can't be picking up on that level. I'm afraid. You fucking put it on a post-it note next time and start the game. It's like this because of this. You do it with everything else, so why not? Why not that?
Cool. There was a thing. I didn't watch it. I think I clicked on it. There was in the menus was like an extra thing, and it was like a documentary type thing about people with schizophrenia. I clicked on it and just see some bloke talking about having the devil in his head. I was like, nope.
You don't. It could
I don't want to be seeing real people dealing with horrible shit like that. No, not for me.
I'll be going to bed thinking about that.
Yeah.
If it doesn't disperse itself, you're stuck there laying there all night. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously. I mean, the first one in particular was. Now
it was a real statement, wasn't it? For like
it was, and I think that helped it in many ways. Definitely. I mean, look, why not? I think since the release of that, though. How many games have come out since that have again targeted the same message? I don't mean this horribly. I think people are just like, all right, it's another game that's making that message. We've kind of seen it too many times, 1,000 times before. That doesn't mean you should stop doing it, but it certainly isn't it won't prop you up now, make a game stand out like it did 6-7 years ago. And the reason I picked the original up was because it went on sale, and I was like, well, it's cheaper, so it's a bargain bin. But I think on that week, they were donating their profits if you bought the game to... I can't remember what the charity was, but it was like a mental health charity. I was like, I think it was Mind, actually.
Yeah, I think they're one of the
Mind.org. And I was like, that's a good... I've heard good things about the game. Let's jump in now.
Let's do it.
But nowadays, like I said, it's something that's become more common, so I don't think it stands out as much.
No. They tackle a lot of stuff like in them life. I've not played many of them Life is Strange. Other than the first one. Do they tackle it, or is it more?
I think they try.
But
I don't think it's... Usually the character is not dealing with... They're not something like schizophrenia or something to that expect. Like, it might be like your standard depression, for example. Which is a crippling illness for some people. But, it's like that. It's those sort of things. And sometimes you interact with characters and that are struggling, but it's not as at the forefront. It's sort of there. I think they try and bring it out, and I think in True Colours there's a side bit around this lady that's struggling with dementia, so you kind of interact with her, they do a bit. That's how they usually tackle those sort of things. So
what I want is ADHD the game.
I mean, it can probably be made.
Just like a 5-year-old, it's just will not sit still. Just that.
Vampire Survivors, will that help?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is essentially.
All those noises and scores and sounds.
Exactly, yeah, that is inside the head of someone with ADHD. Probably someone like myself.
It keeps you going. Did you have any technical issues at all? Like, the game looked gorgeous.
No,
But did you have any
it was-
like crashes or weird glitches? I didn't, but
I think so. No. I think the frames were a consistent 30. I think because of that.
yeah,
I mean, there's one thing it does do is like after playing, I jumped back on Elden Ring. I didn't buy the DLC, but it was sort of just to get my feel back for it. And as soon as I got back in, I was like, "Oh, I forgot how muddy this is."
right, yeah.
In terms of of the frame rate. But yeah, because it was a solid 30, Hellblade 2, it just did notice that I know they're always going about the frame pacing. This just really did feel perfectly smooth throughout like all the transitions. But again, like you say, I think I did watch a playthrough. There was it was like the best playthrough ever. It was a PC playthrough, and they removed the letterbox and had 60 FPS, like flawless. I was like, oh, that's the dream, bro. Give me them options. But no, unfortunately, I got left to the humble 30 FPS and black bar bastards.
Yeah, it's not ideal on that. I was thinking even within, eventually removed the black
yeah,
bars.
They did. They gave you the option. Yeah, I remember. I think I modded it out once before they'd had the option, but.
I remember seeing those on PC. You could mod that out. But all that, even the 60 FPS and the the super smooth frame rate and the clarity in the visuals just didn't really make up for what was essentially. I mean, it's a very, very linear game, which is kind of fine. But I think when there's a good chunk of it that wasn't that engaging or exciting or just didn't keep. I just found myself my mind wandering. I was like, I better stop here at the next sort of save because I'm just gonna end up playing an hour of this and it's just gonna flash by and I'm not gonna pick up any of it. So I had to break it up into more chunks than I was planning to.
To be fair, the PC game, I know they shit on it. Did they say anything about the technical side of it, or was theirs more just much the same? I don't know,
actually. I think they just crapped on the game as a whole. I don't think there was any specific call outs in terms of bad performance or anything.
Nah.
I don't think anyone really did. I think it was just more that people they found it dull. But then you see there's people that gave it 10s and 5 out of 5s.
I'll say.
It was definitely a divisive game. It wasn't complete slam dunk crapped on as much as what people wanted to believe.
No, I don't think with my time, enjoyed my time with it. I just think I was expecting, because of how delayed it did. It was like when it was like first announced, and then we got like an update like 2 years later. It's like, oh, here we go, the big update. And they're like, Hellblade is going to be set in Iceland. Yeah. That's it. It's like,
our team's over in Iceland now, and I was like, you're still researching the land. I was like, oh god, this is gonna be age. I'll tell you one of the biggest crimes, if you will, is they showed off the best bit of the game well before launch, and when you do that, I think you set expectations that that can't be the best bit of the game. They must be holding other stuff. So if that's like just something they're willing to give away for free, what else have they got cooking? And unfortunately, they didn't. That was the I would say the peak. Yeah.
And where that was in the game, I was like, God, me.
I mean, I couldn't believe it when I finished it. I was like, wow, they didn't have any. That was it. And I was like, why would you show that? I mean, I get it, but you set the expectation that that's a taster. So there's more to come here. And no. Well, look, we could go on and on about Hellblade 2. Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, I should say. Any other business before? Well, I didn't find it that hard. I don't know if you did.
I've got to say that I didn't.
It was intense because I think the combat's so well done, but it wasn't like banging against brick wall.
I died the most was user error. There was a section where I forget what he was called now, the Watcher or the Stranger, was it?
Botchlings.
What's his name? That red bar. Well, it's not red. It's just a red light, isn't it?
Yeah.
That where you're like walking through an environment, and then if you go somewhere, this fucking red light starts showing.
Oh yeah, it's like
because I don't know what it is, but because I was looking for them fucking lore things, I was like, right, let's go up here. I just kept going into that. I was like, for fuck's sake!
Basically, resets you if you go the wrong way, doesn't it? There's a specific path you got to follow.
That's it. I was like, fuck's sake. So yeah, that was everything. But no, definitely not. A couple of dives in combat, I get over a thing. Like I said, them fucking fire bastards are the ones that got me. But I did really love that combat.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there was anything that we haven't mentioned.
No.
There was a photo mode that was quite fun. You could actually use it in the cutscenes as well, which is
Oh, could
quite
you?
interesting. Really zoom into her eyeballs and see the pores on her skin. It's like,
See her struggle.
fidelity, yeah.
Close
see
up.
them clip-ins. But yeah, it was very, like you say, very linear. There wasn't any, like, no side active content, no customizations, no, like, you had one weapon, that was it. It's just like, give me something more, you know, like...
I wanted a fucking axe or something, just to
Yeah,
really
exactly.
carve some fucker open, but
Get some fucking...
Kratos' Leviathan axe, really
Yeah,
fun some
imagine
with
that. That'd be fucking quality.
I had a fucking toothpick throughout the game to deal with. Under tool. That's actually a pretty cool sword, but yeah, it would be nice to see that in a future edition, like expand on just simple things like that, and then whatever you're doing with the puzzles, just or whatever your third idea is, just don't do it because it won't be the right idea, and perhaps just do something else. I don't know. Not every game's got to have those.
That's it. Rather than just feeling like a Hellblade 2.0, this definitely felt like Hellblade 1.5.
Yep.
Overall.
Yeah, I would totally subscribe to that analysis. Well, look, we've got the gaming gallery. At this point, it can go in the gallery and earn itself a platinum, gold, silver, or bronze sort of Olympic themed style. There's no platinum
Newman
medal.
on it. Newman will tell you.
Team GB, social media,
garbage.
Or we can freeze Senua Saga Hellblade 2, I should say, out and chuck it in the self-storage in the car park.
Leave it for the fucking...
It can go in there with Twin Mirror. It could go in there with Tom Clancy's Division 2 Warlords of Expansion. That's the sort of stuff that's gone in there in the last year or so.
I think graphically, combat-wise...
Fight Forever, Little Nightmares, Complete Edition, new Pokemon Snap. Logan put Hi-Fi Rush in the self-storage. No wonder they got shut down. They heard that.
They had Logan's review. Chucked it in. What's Biff must have... Yeah, he must have about 10 things in there.
Oh, he's got a lot in the botchling bin where he ain't finished it.
Of course, yeah.
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown's his latest gem. He got 3/4, perhaps the last 10% through, and then binned it.
No, I think on merit alone with them, I think it deserves to go in the gallery.
I tend to agree. Yeah, I think it'd be easy just to crap all over it and say it was not redeemable, but
no,
it was. You know, it was longer than 5 hours. This nonsense that it's 5. Unless people are sprinting through it, which I can't help you if you're doing that. I can help you if you're just sprinting through everything and then trying to almost go, oh yeah, it is only 5 hours long. It's not. It's a slow-paced game where take your time, explore a little bit, soak up the atmosphere. Now it does get. I can see why you might want to sprint through some parts of this game. There's absolutely moments where you're like, get me out of this shitter. I want to get on with the next major beat. But generally, I don't know how people were managing that. I mean, I'm a slow player, so maybe it's just my perspective. But what would you like to award Lady Dame Senua?
Lady Dame Senua. She's going to earn herself a bronze.
Yeah, exactly the same for me. A double bronze for Hellblade 2.
Double bronze. You're on the podium, girl.
Not something that's going to sell Game Pass subscriptions, and not something that's really going to sell at 50 UK pounds. That is a... I can see from that perspective, you'd be like... If you bought it, you'd be like, wow.
Fuck me.
But
how many months would that get you?
Well, I don't know these days. The prices have gone up, haven't they? And you need to have the right tier now. You can't just get Game Pass console. You've got to get Game Pass Ultimate.
They have done that. Cheeky. I think I could pick it up for about £8 a month on CD keys.
Yeah, it's cheaper nowadays for 1 month. Yeah, you can still get £7 Ultimate keys. Ooh. If you were to pay the actual
50
intended price, don't say join for £1, you lying bastards. because it's not 15 UK pound a month will get you sell Hellblade 2. So what's that? 30, 45, 3 and a bit months.
There you go. So, I mean, and you've got a plethora of other games. I'd go for that.
I don't see why you wouldn't, and then
Yeah.
just quit. I mean, yeah, and you do need. I think you still need Ultimate for that because the new standard tier doesn't have day one releases. I don't think this stuff goes in for another 6 or 12 months after release.
Oh,
so.
really? Oh, is it that late? Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
I mean, they've really fucked the identity of Game Pass a little bit with that.
They haven't they? Yeah.
I mean, you get it on PC. I think it's like you can get the day one releases for like 10 quid a month. You don't have to have Ultimate. But if you're on console, you need to have Ultimate, and yeah, it's a whole other thing that could have been talked about on another era of this podcast for many hours about their handling of that. But it is what it is. 50 UK pounds or a 14.99 UK pounder. Well, 15 UK pounds for a month of Game Pass plus hundreds of other games, so you'll easily get value out of that. Just remember that when you cancel it, they all disappear and you lose them. It'll be a distant memory, just like the Olympics in a couple of weeks. There will be no Team GB trending on X. Talking about boxing. Anyway, before we go down that rabbit hole, let us close this down. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 earns itself a bronze for myself and Mr. Adkins. Nothing more for us to say other than thanks for your time and ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.